How's it going, everyone? Onorato and Miller, Chris and Ash. We've got the Final Four to react to, yes, a handful of days later as we do the show live on a Thursday. We've got Masters Week this week. Freddie Couples, I love that guy, continues to defy his age,
Gravity.
or I guess the history of ageism in golf. I mean, look, if there were ever a sport where somebody on the older end of things could accomplish, it would be golf. Okay, so we'll talk about what Freddie has done. You want an old person behind a car going 180 miles an hour?
By old, I mean like Fred Couples' age, so like 60. But that's not that bad.
He's 65.
Okay, well, for a person who drives for their entire life, and that's what they do, they should be able to do it well for a very long time. That's
all right. Point. Yeah. Okay. Luka, I mean, he lived out every player's dream. If you had to return to the team that traded you, big night for Luka Doncic back in Dallas. We'll get to that. Another big contract handed out in Major League Baseball, long term. Is there a shift happening here? Can we make sense of why teams are now willing to give out 13, 14, 15-year contracts? We'll get to all that here on Onorato and Miller. And the Albany FireWolves are still in the playoff hunt.
Yes, they are.
Their general manager and head coach, Glenn Clark, will join the show as well. Let's go.
This is Onorato and Miller, sponsored by Albany House.
Albany House, Bev's, Performance Industrial, all just jumped back on board for another year here of O&M. So our thanks to them for doing that. And of course, Novice and Marcella's already part of a consistent basis here with us. Sam is checking in.
House.
Yeah, did I say that? Albany House Bevs.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, I'll just sign on. Yeah.
It's nice of them. Thanks, guys.
Sam is watching, but he is also keeping an eye on what's happening at Augusta, and we will get to that.
I was going to say what's happening in Malta, because there's been a lot of action in a square mile of this household in the last 48 hours. It's kind of crazy.
All right. This was a wild Final Four weekend on the men's side of things. We'll get to the ladies in a moment. Florida pulls off 3 ridiculous comebacks in order to win the national championship. Down 10 late in the second half, right? To Texas Tech. Define late however you want.
Sure.
Down 10 in the second half to Texas Tech, and they win.
Yep.
Down 8 at the half to Auburn, and then I believe it grew to double digits early on in the second half to the Tigers, and the Gators win. And then down 12 again in the second half in the championship game to Houston, and even though it was close late, that felt like a game Houston was going to win with free throws and seal it somehow there. And they go on to win that game. They beat UConn in the second round by 2. I don't remember. Look, my memory is not good. Sometimes I have recall where I'm like, oh, I remember exactly where I was when that happened and how it happened.
So,
But so it might sound hyperbolic. I don't remember a team going on a run like this where it had so many close calls and won a national championship. I don't remember collapses in big games, and we'll get to these in a moment, like Duke and Houston had. I don't remember it. But so I've said for a week now, for the lack of buzzer beaters and Cinderella's upsets, whatever that this tournament had, right? The lack of those, it made up for it on Final Four weekend. In 3 games. We got all 4 number 1 seeds, which I would contend is always good. I would sign up for that almost every single year. You just get better basketball. And
I mean, I don't know that
it wasn't great basketball.
Houston doesn't play a fun brand of basketball.
Florida couldn't throw it in the ocean.
Well, and that's because of the way Houston plays. But it's still more competitive generally.
Okay. I just thought whether or not you thought the quality of the basketball was good, it was heart-stopping action.
Mm-hmm.
And I would sign up for that every single year if you told me I could have it. I thought Final Four weekend delivered in a big way when this tournament received a lot of criticism just for the lack of upsets, the lack of buzzer beaters, no 12 seed into the Elite Eight or something like that, right? And I don't know. I just saw stars on the biggest stage and Cooper Flagg and Walter Clayton Jr. I thought it was fun, and I'm impressed by what Florida did here.
Yeah. My thing with them is like, they basically went into this tournament as they're playing like the best team in the country. Whether or not you thought they were going to win the tournament.
Won the SEC tournament.
Every analyst out there was saying Florida is currently the best team in the country.
Yep.
But the way that they won, they didn't play like the best team in the country. And I understand they won, and at the end, they're the last team standing. But the way that they played basketball was not one where you're like, wow, that's a talented basketball team. That's the best team in the country. And yet, at the end of it all, they're still the last one standing. So I wasn't overly impressed by them, but it takes what it takes to continue to win those kinds of games.
And I think that has to impress you, that even when it looked, and I texted you during the second half of that Houston-Florida game early on.
I think I was asleep.
And I said, this thing is over.
Yeah.
This thing is over. Clayton hadn't scored yet to that point. They couldn't make shots. They were turning the ball over at a ridiculous rate. And I thought there's no way they're going to get back into this game. And yes, I can be prisoner of the moment at times when I watch games, but I didn't see a path there. I just thought Houston is not a team that is going to let up and let you back in. And yet Florida stayed with it and somehow found a way to get this thing close and then force 3 turnovers on the final 3 possessions for Houston. They didn't get a shot off in the final minute of that game. Unbelievable.
Yeah. They Houston.
They did. Sam, yes, he's watching the Masters, wants to know, where's your cup?
Oh, I use it all the time. Actually, just used it last night. Mine's
dishwasher.
dirty. Chris has one, though.
Probably the dishwasher. All right, so which team had the bigger blown lead? Duke, up 14 in the second half and up 6 with 35 seconds to go, or Houston, led by 12 in the second half and 3 turnovers in the final minute. I said to you, again, I texted Ashley, I've never seen a team blow a lead the way Duke blew a lead in a game like that. It happens all the time. In a game like that, where you have the best player in the country, the number 1 overall pick, and maybe a whistle didn't go your way.
Yes.
But you had 1 field goal in the final 10 and a half minutes. 1 field goal in the final 10 and a half minutes. And again, I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah.
And that was Houston, who locked down Duke and then advanced to blow a lead against Florida. Which to use the worst one, the one you'll remember most? I don't know.
Duke, because Duke's offense was notorious for scoring 90 points a game. Houston's offense generally doesn't wow anyone. It's their defense. So the fact that they blew a lead, to me, isn't all that impressive or, earth-shattering, defying, whatever. Duke has a juggernaut of an offense. Even when Cooper Flagg isn't their leading scorer, they have so many other guys, Con Knipple, and guys who just pick up the slack and make it look seamless. They don't need him to score. Cooper Flagg can facilitate with the best of them, but it was so bad. I mean, a field goal in the final 10 minutes.
And then they missed front ends of 1-and-1s.
It was so bad. So bad. And so unlike them.
Yeah.
Like, especially that program, that is not a program that goes into a game like that with a lead like that. And it's just like, here you go. You can have it.
I pushed back hard on the critique of Duke or the skepticism of Duke going into this tournament where like, well, they haven't played anybody. The ACC is soft. And it's just, I don't,
They can play with anybody.
Yes.
Anybody.
But because they had such a large margin of victory throughout the season, they hadn't been in a really close game. I mean, they lost at Clemson. Then North Carolina made it interesting in the ACC tournament, but they hadn't really been in a close game where a guy like Flagg had to go make a big play. You'd have to go back to November.
That wasn't close.
Well, but I'm saying down the stretch, it was like,
Yeah.
whoa, all of a sudden now we're
I
in this
know.
close game. How do we do this? It almost looked like they were unfamiliar with that situation. You have to go back to November when they were playing those pre-season tournament kind of games, Kansas and at the Garden, where you would find Duke in that spot. And so while, yes, I push back on the idea that you have to be battle tested through your conference schedule, and
They can play enough
but I wonder,
games.
did they not have enough close games where they felt like, okay, we've been here, we've done this, we're good, where Houston in the Big 12,
A little more experience too, just on
no
that
doubt,
team.
men, and that's a great point. Kelvin Sampson said after the game, talking about their big against Cooper Flagg, who took the final shot, and Kelvin Sampson said, we trusted our man against their teenager.
Yeah.
And that's not a knock on Cooper Flagg. It is what it is. He's a young 18-year-old.
Yeah.
And Roberts
And
is
he'll
a guy.
be a
Jawan
better
Roberts was the guy.
NBA player than Roberts will
Of course,
be. So
of
it's,
course.
We're not comparing the two because they're not comparable.
Right. But a sixth-year guy, I think
Yeah.
Roberts is, against a freshman against Flagg. Like it, I believe that showed up a little bit there.
And was Roberts a transfer? Or has he played with them? For some reason, I thought he was a transfer.
I think
If
Roberts may
not,
have been
he
there.
would have been in big situations. I mean, they've made deep runs the last 5 years. They just have never got over the hump, but they've made big runs.
And the Rockman is right. Duke will be back next year.
But they lost.
John
which makes me
Shire.
happy.
Oh, I know it does. Well, now, for the record, we both did pick Duke to win the national championship. John Shire was handed a Maserati, and he
Drove it off a cliff.
No,
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
He has rebuilt the engine or whatever you have to do to he has turbocharged it in some way, right? Like he is not messing this thing up.
That guy, you thought Coach K had it easy in the end, but Coach K built that program.
For sure.
John Shire was handed the keys to a Maserati that someone else paid for, built, and got ready. Like, that program sells itself.
It does. But what do we say all the time? You don't want to be the guy who follows the guy.
Yeah, I get it. But he was the guy's guy. He was already on the bench. He played for the guy. It's as far from being the stranger walking into an unfamiliar situation as you could be. He knew that program forward, backward, and sideways.
Yeah.
But he got outcoached.
Sampson's a heck of a coach.
I mean,
heck of a coach.
Ask my father. He goes 3 inbounds plays. They ran the same play over and over and over, and it didn't work. At what point do you run something different? Like, you got to switch it up.
Carol's watching as well. Carol, always good to have you with us here. We are back on schedule here on a
I know
Thursday
it's been a while.
night. It has been, and we got stuff that moves around. We might even be a Wednesday next week. We'll see.
We might.
UConn women. What a run here, right? They were a 2 seed. They, however, were a 10.5-point favorite in the national semifinal, and then a 7.5-point favorite in the national championship
and took
game.
care of both of those by wide margins.
And we said going into the tournament and throughout the tournament, the universe has flipped on its head because Duke men and UConn women were likable this year. And I felt that way watching UConn make their run and blow out South Carolina. Like, okay, good for Geno. He's back now after an 8-year hiatus.
Listen, I was going to say 2016 is a long time ago. I know it doesn't feel like it. Like, it feels like it was 5 minutes ago, but 2016 was a long time ago. So it's not like it, for any 9-year-old on the planet, UConn hadn't won in a long time or any time that they remember.
Yeah.
So it's not like liking UConn is all that cool anymore from that perspective, liking USC and South Carolina and some of these other teams is a little bit trendier, probably Iowa because of Caitlin Clark, LSU. But now it's back, and I think the people appreciate kind of the return. It's a little bit that like nostalgia, but I felt good for Paige Beckers. Listen, she will go down as, and there are a lot of them, one of the greatest players in UConn history. And she got a title. You can't go out with no titles and be one of the greatest players in UConn history. Unfortunately, that's just not how it works.
Yeah, no chance. Too many have come before you and won.
Yep.
That you have to get at least one.
She would have been the most talented without a title to go through UConn.
Yeah. And, it felt like, in a way, the arrogance of UConn had been humbled.
Yes, they had, and I think that's
Right.
100% true.
So
I think
Geno, it felt, and I don't know that Geno was ever arrogant. He got the best players,
No,
and
but-
credit to him for that, and he won with them. But this stretch, which was a struggle at times, felt like, okay, you've been humbled a little bit here.
When you win a national title without losing a game, I think people feel like, all right, it's time for you to be humbled.
Yeah.
Like, let's knock you down a peg or two, because I mean, it's hard to do.
Now,
Yeah.
South
But it's
Carolina
also
did that,
like,
yes.
yeah, you're just so far above the rest that, like, let's make this a little bit of fun. It becomes unfun when the same team wins a title every year. So now that they're just kind of back in the mix with a handful of other teams, it seems a little more fun.
12 titles for Geno. That's the most in Division I history, men's or women's. And he's already got the most wins in general in terms of number of games in men's or women's Division I history. So pretty cool.
I feel really proud that I picked UConn to win.
Okay.
But it sounds kind of stupid because it's UConn. But it felt like they weren't a 1 seed.
Yeah.
And there were probably enough people who picked, I mean, USC before Juju.
And look, USC was in that region. They were the 1 seed. So does UConn catch a break there? Yes. Do I think they beat USC anyway, the way they're playing? Yes.
Yeah. And that was kind of what I, when I said it, I was like, I think they come out of that region anyway.
Yeah.
And the way they're playing, I think they win the title. It just felt like one of those team of destiny type things. They were playing the best basketball of the entire season at the end of the season. And they showed it. That was an impressive team. They won handily most games and just made it look kind of easy.
17 minutes to start the show here without a commercial break. It's
We
what
like
we do
it.
on Onorato and Miller. Very few commercial breaks. As much as we love our local business partners here on this show, we give you as much content as we can without those breaks. Speaking of, though,
take a break.
Quick commercial. We're back right after this.
There's no better time to buy a new RV than during our open house at Open House RV. Right now, take home a Coachman Catalina for just $127 a month, or upgrade to a Keystone Cougar for only $325 a month. Shop over 800 RVs, all open and ready for you to explore with show pricing and special manufacturer incentives. Act now and get top dollar for your trade. It's all happening April 10th through 13th at Open House RV in Amsterdam and Saratoga.
I'm Jeff Ukelek. I'm owner of Bev's, and we're a beverage center in upstate New York. You're just going to have that wow component when you come in, like, wow, look at this place. It's bright, it's clean, it has everything that I need. Consumer is king. Be able to provide them a friendly environment and a place to shop, no matter where they are, whether they're down here in Saratoga or whether they're up in Queensbury. You're always going to get the same experience when you shop at Bev's. At the end of the day, if you walk in these stores, you're going to see a lot of people that have a lot of pride.
And now, back to Onorato and Miller. Sponsored by Albany House.
Pretty difficult done. Still to come here on this week's show. It is Masters Week. We've got Glenn Clark, FireWolves GM and head coach, as well, with Albany still in that playoff hunt for one of the final spots still to go. And I said this to Clark. You
got to win.
Have to win. 6 and 10. The teams that are in the playoffs are 8 and 8. But 2 games to go in this regular season. Yeah, if the playoffs started today, if the playoffs started today. 2 games to go in the regular season, and only 1 team has been eliminated from playoff contention. I mean, talk about the
not 2?
No, look to the standings. Check them for me in the next commercial break.
Okay.
The length,
it's
of
crazy.
the competitiveness, is kind of.
I think
impressive.
there are 8 teams for the final 4 spots. And I think only officially 2 have clinched a playoff spot, not even more than that. But I think it's kind of like inferred that the 3rd and 4th are going to get there. And then there are 8 teams for the final 4.
Vladimir Guerrero Jr. signed a 14-year, $500 million deal. Now, I thought these were no longer in vogue. I thought major league teams were like, we are not giving out deals.
Bryce Harper started
longer than 10.
A trend.
He did. He
went to Philly and said, I'm going to be there for 13 years. And everyone thought, what?
13 was the longest Major League Baseball contract ever handed out at the time. And that was, you said it, to Bryce Harper. Now, he has won an MVP in Philadelphia. They've gone to a World Series since signing him. But his contract is going to take him, I think, until age 40 season. Some of these other guys will be slightly younger when they're done with it, but not by much.
Yeah, not by much.
And so I'm showing you every contract in Major League Baseball history above 10 years. There are, in total,
they've all happened in the last 5.
29 contracts have been signed of 10 years or longer. The earliest one was like 1977. But these are the only deals to be done in baseball that are longer than 10 years. Is there one that stands out to you as, oh boy, I would have never signed up for that if I were a team?
I mean, Stanton for me, just because of his injuries. No, the rest I don't hate.
You know what? You're right. Stanton signed before Harper. Obviously,
yeah.
Stanton was still in
it just feels
Miami then.
And he does enough to you back in every once in a while when he hits bombs in the postseason. Yeah. I think, all right, it's worth it all year long when there are struggles and he's hurt and never playing. But that contract is going to feel eternal. Like it's going to feel like they can never.
It's almost over. I
end.
think there might only be one more after this one on that Stanton deal. It was a 13-year, $325 deal that he signed with the Marlins, and that was a long time ago now. Yeah. Okay, so the Stanton one.
Listen, I wouldn't do the Guerrero one, but I'm not in love with Guerrero in the way that other people are. The Soto one doesn't bother me because if you get 7 or 8 years of good Soto, then I think I think it's. And my guess is there are club options or player options in some of these somewhere around. So it's not always what it looks like.
Yep. What's the best deal on the board? I know mine.
Probably Betts for me.
I'm going Bobby Witt Jr.
Yeah, but Betts or Witt. I think they're
so
both
young.
Yeah.
Plays a Gold Glove shortstop, MVP type bat. And you know what? It's Kansas City. Like, good for them to say, hey, we've got a star in our organization. We are going to keep him. And I shouldn't bang on the Royals because they did keep that core together for a while that went to back-to-back World Series. And so this is another investment here that, okay, yes, we are a smaller market team.
Yep.
But, yeah, Witt for me, I think, is the...
I like Witt a lot, and it's 11 years. It's not 15. Like, the difference between those two numbers is significant. 4 years is a long time.
Yeah. All right, it's Masters Week. Scheffler's out to defend the green jacket. Rory is looking to complete the career.
He's been trying to do that for a while, right?
A long time. And I'm not going to just give like live leaderboard updates here because people will find this show over the weekend on TV as well. I'm rooting for Rory. I don't know if if he's like really popular in the court of public opinion, given what happened last year with his wife and but I'm rooting for Rory here to do what is very rare in the sport, and that is to complete the career slam.
I think he was a little bit hateable earlier on in his career, but he's come back for me that I generally cheer for him. Because he's like a little bit of a lovable loser. I know he's won, but he's lost a lot more than he's won, as most golfers do. Only one person wins. I think he's become likable. What's better than the kids' day on?
Yeah. Fun.
I mean, what is better?
Fun.
You got kids making 40-foot putts.
Par 3.
Like, oh my God, it's so good.
The par 3
getting
contest
dunked
is
in the
fun.
pond, like all kinds of crazy stuff happened. And they're so cute in those little outfits.
Yeah,
I want one of those.
The little caddy outfits.
They're so funny.
Yeah, Rory's one of his daughters made an incredible.
Yeah.
I can't even call it a putt. She nudged it.
She nudged it, and it rolled 40 feet. Yeah. It picked up some steam 40 feet into the cup, and no one was happier than Shane Lowry.
Correct. Freddie Couples just doing his thing here. He is now the second oldest to shoot under par in any round at Augusta. 65 years old.
He was one of my favorite golfers growing up.
Yeah.
And Davis loved because I loved the name, but he was also very good. Fred Couples and Davis Love, handsome guys. When you're 15, 12, whatever.
He already is the oldest player in Masters history to make a cut at Augusta.
Wow.
So if he gets a good second round, he'll become the oldest player again to make a cut at
Like a second
Augusta. But tell me, Tom Watson, I believe, who was like a month older than Freddie is now, shot also 1 under par in a round at,
good for
at
him.
Augusta. So pretty impressive.
I love that.
All right, let's stay with the golf theme here for our Dirty Difficult done.
And now, Dirty, Difficult, and Done. Sponsored by Performance Industrial.
Bill Miller, Karen Miller, the great team at Performance Industrial, where there's never a job that's too dirty or difficult for them to get it done. Is this dirty? Amateur Jose Luis Ballester relieved himself in Rays Creek during round 1 at the Masters. Now, he did not realize that there were
TV cameras everywhere?
Well, no, porta potties not all that far from where he sought some relief. He said, I really had to go. And Justin Thomas was in a little bit of trouble on the 12th green. I knew I had enough time. So I hustled down over to Rays Creek and did my thing.
This is going to sound...
You have to call them patrons because it's the Masters, not fans.
They're fans.
There were patrons who saw this happening and gave him a big old
I'm surprised
ovation.
they didn't take video of him.
It might be out there. I don't know.
Sure it is.
Yeah. 21-year-old from Spain, plays at Arizona State, also caught a lot of attention for the hat he was wearing, which said Sun Devils upside down. And, you know, the golf people, they think that it was a little uncouth for Augusta. You think the hat was uncouth for Augusta? Ballester said, hold my beer. I'm going to Rays Creek. This is unbelievable, right? Come on.
I don't think the hat's uncouth. I don't really care about the hat.
I know
it's dirty because it's Augusta, man. You want to pee in a creek anywhere else on the planet.
If you go to Colony Golf and Country Club here in the Capital Region, you need to go, you go.
I'm not saying that's where you should do it.
All right.
But it's way worse because it's Augusta. My thing is too, like, can you just pee in the woods near a tree in a bush or something? Does it have to be into the water? The water feels worse. I know nobody's swimming in Rays Creek, but the water feels worse. It feels like you're polluting someone's drinking water down the road somewhere. Like, you just don't know where it's going. Just pee in the bush.
Yeah.
Or the porta potty, and definitely don't do it at the Masters as a 21-year-old.
Sam says, sure, he'll hear from someone. Yeah. So, you know what I did think, though, as soon as I saw the headline and read the story a little bit, I thought, boy, there's going to be some karma at some point. Like, he's going to have, so Rays Creek, as many of you know, winds through Amen Corner. It's the stretch of that golf course on the back nine that a lot of these players dread because it's difficult, and it's where you see guys lose the tournament on Sunday sometimes. Rory also did that. And I thought, there's going to be some karma here. This kid is going to have a big tee shot one day.
Right in the creek. I hope it goes right in the creek.
In the stretch of Amen Corner, and Rays Creek is going to get him.
That'd be great.
Can't you just see that happening? And this will be the story again, 5 years from now when he's doing it. Yeah. Mike's with
it's
you.
It's 100% dirty.
He says dirty all the way.
It's dirty.
It's not the best.
No.
Like, ask somebody, hey, I gotta go.
And they'd be like,
what's the closest? What's the closest spot? And then he probably would have gotten the answer like, hey, right by the 13th tee, there's some porta potties. Oh, okay, great. That's where I'm headed next.
And like,
anyway.
just butt the line because you're a golfer,
yeah,
and everyone else is a patron. They can wait.
I thought that was funny. Okay.
It'd be funnier if it was someone who was like somebody. He's nobody.
So, okay. And it's great that you
like if it's Justin Thomas.
He's playing with JT and Scottie.
It's a little funnier because they are someone.
Okay.
I still don't think anyone would be stupid enough to do it, though. That's the difference, is like those guys know what the Masters is and that it's probably uncouth and they're not going to do it.
Yeah.
But it would be funnier if it was one of them.
I don't disagree. I think you're right about that. All right, let's take a quick break here on Onorato and Miller. When we come back, Sam's saying players even have their own. Yeah, right. If you can get to it, fine.
Yeah.
But I think he was unsure of. Oh, he's an amateur. He's never played this course before.
I get it.
He didn't know, or at least that's his defense. I didn't know. Glenn Clark with us next year on Onorato and Miller, the GM and head coach of the Albany FireWolves, needing 2 wins in the final 2 games to have a shot.
Right.
Nothing's guaranteed to have a shot.
Other things have to happen, but yes.
At the playoffs. It's always a fun conversation with Clarky. He's next.
I'm Jeff Ukelek. I'm owner of Bevs, and we're a beverage center in upstate New York. You're just going to have that wow component when you come in, like, wow, look at this place. It's bright, it's clean, it has everything that I need. Consumer is king. Be able to provide them a friendly environment and a place to shop, no matter where they are, whether they're down here in Saratoga or whether they're up in Queensbury. You're always going to get the same experience when you shop at Bevs. At the end of the day, if you walk in these stores, you're going to see a lot of people that have a lot of pride.
The great thing about Novices, no matter who you are, they're going to put all the detail in the world into your brand. I feel like they have been a big part of my success, making me feel comfortable.
This is Harrison Butker, Super Bowl champion kicker for the Kansas City Chiefs. Claim your crown.
And now, back to Onorato and Miller. Sponsored by Alpin House.
How wide open is the National Lacrosse League with these unified stands? I mean, wide open. 2 games left to go, and only 1 team has been eliminated from playoff contention as the FireWolves get ready for their final home game of the season, MVP Arena hosting San Diego. A huge game for both teams. The Seals come in a couple games ahead of Albany, and the FireWolves can still get into this thing, certainly in playoff contention. Let's bring in the head coach and the general manager now, Glenn Clark, onto Onorato and Miller. Clarky, what's up, man? I mean, this is wild, right? I mean, only 1 team says going into this weekend they can't make the playoffs. You are not that team. You're still in this hunt, and it just kind of lines up well here that you get San Diego, a team that you're right behind and chasing.
Yeah, it is, and it is. You're right. It is amazing that we're playing game 17, and there's only 1 team out of 18 games. Yeah. So, and it is good because San Diego is actually currently a playoff team. And we have 2 games with them. So, we can still control our fate to a certain extent. I mean, we need some balls to fall our way, but we definitely we have the opportunity to control what's in front of us for sure.
I'm wondering, over the course of your coaching career, and not just the NLL, but every level you've been part of, changing your offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator's roles mid-season, is that the most drastic coaching move you've made in your career?
Yeah, probably. I mean, I've never done it before, and we were going to change our defensive system as it was, and Daryl and Clem they were actually they're in better spots now. Daryl's a defensive guy. Clem was an offensive guy. It was just, the way the hiring started or happened way back when. And we had talked about doing this a couple of different times throughout the course of our time together. But it just felt we were going to change the system. And it just felt like, we'll give Daryl a chance to make it his own, his verbiage, his talking points. So he doesn't, need to walk into somebody else's, defensive system. So timing was good, and it certainly worked. I mean, our numbers were 3 goals against lower since we've switched systems, which is quite a bit, over the course of the first half of the season. So it has worked. I mean, it's been coupled with getting healthier and some of the trades we made and everything else, but it's certainly, we've been more consistent on the back end since then.
Yeah. The home crowds have gotten better. And that's regardless of a Buffalo fan base coming into town. And so now you got a home one here that you need against San Diego. So this is the call to lacrosse fans in the area and people who just enjoy sports in the 518, albanyfirewolves.com to get your tickets. Saturday night, 7:00, MVP Arena. What is it about this Seals team, Clarky, that you're really keying in on that you need to make sure you control Saturday night if you're going to get a win?
They really have. I mean, they've got a veteran group with some impact players, but if you want to key on one thing, it's their offensive right side. That drives the offense for them anyway. So most of their offense and most of their production comes out of their offensive righties. So we need to be aware of what some of their tells are and things we need to be aware of from that aspect. And then, offensively, we had an off week in Vancouver last week. We didn't shoot well. We didn't execute well.
That's a heck of a goalie you're facing too.
Yeah, and it's funny too, because we came out of a bye week and we sort of looked back a little bit on what we've done production-wise on bye weeks, and it lines up with some of our worst offensive outputs. And it makes sense, right? Because you have that separation of time and offense's touch and timing and everything else. So it is interesting that coming out of a bye week, just sort of a side note, that our offense has struggled. So, hopefully it's a bounce back this week. And, it's always hold a team to 10. If you can keep them in that plus or minus 10, you should be in a position to have a shot to win. So that's the goal defensively. And then, we need to be sharper on the offensive side of the ball.
Has Dougie been better second half of the season, or has the defense in front of him just been better?
Dougie's been better, but the defense has been different. So it's a little more predictable for Dougie in terms of where the shots are coming from. Okay. We're trying to same side the ball, which means it's not swinging east-west and just, he can lock in and play his angles a little bit better. So he's been exceptional, especially, our man down. He's been fantastic when we're killing penalties. And over the last 3 games with, Vancouver, Buffalo, and Georgia, who are all high-powered offense, I think that the power play is, 2 for 13 or something like that again. So we've been really good in that area, and we want to continue that.
Okay. Offensively here, Dyson Williams stands out second half of the season. We talked to him on the pod a couple weeks ago, I guess now, going into that bye week. And, I just threw the cliche out at him, and I said cliches exist because there is some truth behind. They started for a reason. But the idea that when you get to this point in the season, nobody is a rookie anymore, certainly not a number 1 overall pick. And he said, the coaches say that to me. I feel that as well in terms of the way I'm playing. What stands out to you when you watch him now?
It's funny, we never like to use cliches, but they're you're right. They're there for a reason, right? They're appropriate. He's on the path we thought he would be on, the trajectory we thought he would be on, right? It's a young guy coming into the league with lots of talent, lots of upside, but he's still got to learn to navigate the NLL. And, you're playing with men now, and that's a change, right? So I think you've seen it, those last couple of home games where he got the game-winning goal and was impactful. And it's the trajectory of these young players, right? I said this jokingly to someone the other day. I think Alex Simmons was the problem because he came in and had and he had a historic year, right? He had a record-breaking year when you combine his playoffs. So he kind of spoiled it for everyone else. Now everyone looks at that as the standard, and a guy's going to come in as a high draft pick, and that's what he's going to do. That was an unusual season. Alex had an amazing year. So Dyson is in line with, first overall picks, the guys that have come before him, and that sort of path of understanding the game and getting better as he goes. And, the second half of year 1 should be better than the first half. Year 2 will be better than year 1, and so on. So he's been great. And he's going to be an impact player in this league, and he's such a quality person as well, which is what we want in the organization. So he checks all the boxes for sure.
This season is not over yet, but I can already forecast some of the storylines going into next year, and they will be, the record's going to be different because you're never going to go back-to-back years losing as many 1-goal or overtime games again. We believe in sports. We believe in the regression to the mean or progression to the mean. And so I don't know, do you feel like this season has at least started to turn a little bit in your fortunes? And do you look back on those first 5, 6, 7 games where you're like, dang, if we had just found a way to get 1 or 2 of them, it'd be how different this would be.
Yeah, and it's hard not to. We started 2-8, and now we're 4-2 in the last 6. Yeah. So I mean, that, and against good competition as well. I mean, we talked about it. There was reasons we were really shorthanded that first stretch. And I was talking to another GM in the league the other day, and he said, it's hard to lose 3 overtime games in a row. Like, trying to do that would be an accomplishment. So it was unusual. 3 home games, 3 overtime losses. I've never been part of something like that. And you're right. And then there was the other 1-goal games. I think at one point we were, like 1-6 or 1-5, and our goal differential was positive, like +4 or something like that. So we'd lost like 4 1-goal games. Like, it was crazy. So it was anomalous, that's for sure. And I think we're still in this fight, and we still want to finish, and we still want to try and get into the playoffs. But I've said all along, I mean, this team is built for some sustained excellence. The hiccups with injuries kind of derailed us early. And that was one of the reasons we were so successful last year, is we were so healthy. And that is part of it, and especially in the NLL, right? The healthiest team is usually in a position to have success. And we were really healthy last year. We didn't have that fortune this year, but we're always in a position to compete. And I think we're in a position for excellence for a long time.
How come at 2-8 you didn't make any, I'll say, big moves? And I think you know what I mean by that. You made additions and guys who are significant players in this league historically, but you didn't think, is now the time to move? I'm not going to put names out there because that's unfair, but is it time to move a younger player who has great value now to see what we can build on? Were those conversations ever had?
No, they weren't. And there's a couple reasons. One is we're still the youngest team in the league, and I didn't want to give up assets. I mean, we have 9 first-round picks in our lineup for the last 4 drafts, which is incredible. And, we had the 1 and 2 guy in the Rookie of the Year last year. We're probably going to have that again this year with Will and Dyson. So we are built for sustainability. And even the moves I made at the trade deadline, getting Jonathan Peshko, he was the 4th overall pick in this draft this year. So, he's still a young player navigating the league, but he's in line with the development of our other guys. So, next year will be better. In 2 years, you just, in sports, sometimes it's hard to be patient to build.
Yes.
It really is. And people want the quick fix, but if you've got a plan and you've got a sort of a direction and a vision, and I believe in where this team is going to be, it's very much like the Buffalo Bandits. I mean, you look at their team, they were built through the draft, and they had some similar years. They went to a championship, missed the playoffs. But they've built and they've been patient. Their whole offense is essentially first-round draft picks, which is what our offense is now. So, I really am committed to kind of that path and that plan. And, you have to live in the here and now, and it's painful right now with what's happening, but we still are a good team. I mean, you don't look at this team and go, oh man, they're, when are they going to win? Like we beat Georgia, we beat significant players in this league, and we have that ability when we're healthy and ready to go. So I wanted to be patient. Any of the moves I made were forward forecasting, not the here and now. And we're still on that path. And I love where this team is going and where we're going to be.
Yeah, well, I think anybody who looks at the 4-2 record that you've pointed out, this is more of the FireWolves team that we saw last year and thought we'd get all of this season. We know we'll get next season. So patience, the right word here. I wonder though, is it more difficult to sell patience in today's game to ownership, fans, or yourself?
Probably fans, I think, at some point, because we're behind the curtain, right? Like, we understand who these guys are and where they're going and what they are. And
you've talked on this show about how impatient you are as a coach and maybe a person. I don't know. We ask that, but that is who you are. Like, hey, I want and I expect the success now from yourself and from anybody else you're involved with, right?
Yeah, and that's a little different. Like, this is the GM hat, and I am impatient in a lot of ways of getting things done.
Okay.
But I think compiling this team, there was a certain impatience to that. I wanted to change the direction. I wanted to get first round picks. I wanted to get younger. So I was impatient in getting that done and making that change.
Knowing you'd have to be patient.
Yeah, then you have to let that percolate and play out. And so I think, I mean, ownership has understood what we've done. And they look at the players we've brought in and where they're going to get to. I mean, look, our offense our right side is a first year and 2 second years. And that's, part of our best players in the league. And then when you're competing against the Dane Smiths and the Josh Burns, who are 8 to 10 years in the league, they have an advantage. And then you sort of bide your time until it's your turn. So we can compete with those teams right now, and we can beat those teams right now. And I think in 1, 2, 3 years, we hopefully are going to be that gold standard, and that's the plan.
I know we'll talk to you again before too long, but what are these summer expeditions on tap for you guys?
Not as exotic as years past, but still pretty good. We're going to head out to Aspen for a bit. We're going to Oktoberfest in Germany, but that's another fall away. Cassie and I are always what's the next trip? So. Yeah. But we're staying we're staying in the U.S. actually, because our 2 youngest are doing their green card application, so they can't travel outside. So they're doing their dual citizenship like their mummy. So we've got to stay around. So we're going to be staying in the U.S. No intercontinental travel this summer.
I don't know what's legal and what isn't, but it would be fun to put some of those questions on this show and see if Ashley or I could handle any of them. I don't know. Born here, lived here my whole life. How much of it do I know? I don't know. Be interesting.
So we'll be getting out. We're getting out to Aspen. We're going down to Maine and doing some of the U.S. this summer.
Yeah, cool.
Not Europe or Nepal or anything exotic like that, like we've done in the past.
All right. Well, you win the vocab test on this episode. Anomalous and percolate are A+ words, man. Karki, awesome. Good luck this weekend, dude. San Diego in town, Saturday night, MVP Arena, AlbanyFireWolves.com for tickets right in the playoff mix here, going down to the final 2 games. Thanks, man.
No, always a pleasure, man. Thank you.
At Marcella's Appliance Center, our commitment is to you, providing essential appliances that families depend on. For cooking, refrigeration, cleaning, and sanitation, plus appliance repair, you can have peace of mind that Marcella's is here for you today and every day. Like we have been since 1957, helping you make the right choice with trusted brands like Whirlpool, Maytag, KitchenAid, and many more. Shop Marcella's Appliance Center in-store, online, or by phone. We're here for you.
And now, back to Onorato and Miller. Sponsored by Alpin House.
That's Clarky with us here on Onorato and Miller. Where am I?
Hello.
Wow.
Director.
I'm not even sure what I did to make that happen. That was fun.
Faulty director.
Not the first time.
I'm not gonna knock him because he's doing a lot while this show's going on. I don't do anything. I just sit here.
Belmont Stakes is coming back to Saratoga.
Blues Traveler?
And people are already talking about Belmont Stakes in 2026 because it may not be ready on Long Island. That's a mess. Mm-hmm. But the city of Saratoga will take it.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
And our Mark Mulholland on News Channel 13 broke the news that the concert is coming back as well. It was Blues Traveler last year, and we had to educate some people in the newsroom about good old Blues Traveler.
Well, all you had to do is play the song. My guess is they knew it.
I think most of them did.
Yeah, you got to know it. It's only one, but
and we had to do some of that Thursday morning with this.
I'm
band
very
as
sure
well.
You did.
But again, when you play some of the songs, they are well known enough, and it's Gin Blossoms. And I was going through, and I'm like, there are like 5 really big songs.
Okay, I wouldn't have guessed that. I would have guessed like 1 or 2.
I'd love to have them at my fingertips right now. But if I rattled them off to you, you'd go, "Oh yeah, I know that one. I know that one too."
You might have to play
5,
them.
6 of them. Okay,
you might have to play them for me to know it.
So I think 25,000 people were on Broadway for Blues Traveler, and the weather was not great.
Right.
I would think
I'd be
you're
into,
going to
like-
make this even bigger and better.
Like you shut. I love Chowderfest. They did it right too. Shut Broadway
Yeah.
down, where you can just walk, wander. That to me is like Saratoga is great for that. I wish they could do that every weekend during track season. Like just shut like a couple blocks of Broadway down. Won't be that bad.
Yeah.
But this to me sounds like fun, like a fun night out, dinner, drinks, walk around, listen to some tunes.
Now, the Belmont Stakes Festival was 4 days last year. It's now 5 days this year. So they will have racing. I believe I'm right on this. Racing on Wednesday, June 4th, then the concert that night.
Wow.
And then back to racing Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I believe that's going to be the schedule.
Because they didn't have racing the day of the concert last year or
Correct.
the day after,
The
did they?
day after they did.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. But not the day of.
Gotcha.
So yeah.
Gin Blossoms. Now I'm gonna go listen to Jim. I'm gonna tell you know who to play Gin Blossoms after this is over.
Yeah, don't say her name.
Alexa.
Do not say
I know. She'll
her
start talking.
name. Luka, this was his dream, right?
Yep.
The night, it was a Saturday night.
This was his first game back.
in
It feels like they talked
December.
about this 100 times.
And you knew that night this crossed his mind. Maybe he didn't go to the schedule to say, hey, when do we play in Dallas? Maybe it wasn't that obsessive, but it crossed his mind. When I get back here, I want to have an insane game. And I checked the box score.
It's pretty insane.
7:30 tip-off Wednesday night. I checked the box score sometime around 9 o'clock, I would say. And LeBron had only taken like 4 shots. And Luka had 31 at the half. And I thought, this is a concerted effort.
Yeah.
And
Like,
and
here you go,
LeBron
here you go,
seems
here
like
you
that
go.
kind of guy. Like,
Yeah, to
hey,
get
man,
somebody his. Yeah.
I've done it before. When I went to Miami, I had to go back to Cleveland.
Mhm.
And when I went to Cleveland, I had to go back to Miami.
Mhm.
He's been there. I'm sure he understands it.
Mhm.
He wasn't traded, but he moved on and went back and played at those cities. So I'm sure there was a conversation. We are going to make sure
Yes.
you get yours. And Luka didn't struggle to get them.
I mean, he shot better from 3 than he did from 2.
Yeah.
It's pretty impressive.
I mean, well over 50% from the field, 70% from distance, 8 boards, 6 assists, 45, and a Lakers win.
That's the biggest part.
And LA is trying to get that 3 seed in the Western Conference standings. Right. If he had dropped 45 and
Yeah, it
lost,
doesn't matter.
there would have been some like fans like, see what he can still do.
Yeah.
But in his mind, it would have been, I can't believe I went back there and lost.
Yeah. The embrace between Luka and AD at the end was nice.
Yeah.
It seemed like,
Mark
no,
Cuban
I mean,
dabbed him up.
they don't
Yep,
have,
dapped
there's
him
no hard feelings between two guys who get traded for one another. They have no say over any
Yeah.
of it anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, I would think they both on some level root for each other's success.
Yeah, I would think so too.
Yeah. Speaking of success, I just kind of checked in on Kev a couple nights ago, and he didn't play, but he wasn't listed as a DNP. It must have just been a rest night for him.
Yeah.
Whatever, I don't know.
Yeah.
But he's played 24 games in Chicago, and he has started 14 of them, and he has been in that starting lineup
Mhm.
now. Anytime he plays now, he starts.
Mhm.
And he's playing really well. He had 22 on Wednesday night, and what was a big win for Chicago to beat Miami. They are 9-10 right now in that play-in standing in the East. That was a big win to go a full game up on the Heat. And like I said, Kev had 22 points, 7 assists. Josh Giddey's been insane. for
Yeah,
them.
he's been totally nuts.
But the numbers here, 13.3, that is Kev's second highest career average, or second highest average points per game in his career. Other than one full season he had that was really good. I think it might have been his first year in Sacramento. But he's played really well since that trade to Chicago. When the deal was made, everybody was like, they're probably going to try to move him. And that didn't happen. And then he was coming off the bench, not playing a lot of minutes. And now they've found minutes for him in Lonzo Ball's absence. And he's delivered. And we keep thinking like, okay, he's got one more year on his contract after this one. Obviously, he wants another long-term lucrative deal, and he's playing his way into it.
Yeah, I mean, even if, listen, after his contract is up, even if you get a contract that's 2 or 3 years, I think you're good with it because you start to get up there in age. But
He's 26.
I know.
He'll turn 27 this summer.
We have always said, so he'll be 28 by the end of the contract. We've always said, if he gets an opportunity somewhere, he is good enough to be not only on the bench, like he's good enough to be in a starting lineup. And if he's not in a starting lineup, then he's good enough to be the 6th or 7th man. Like this is how this guy works. And I think when he left Sacramento, I said, this is a good move for him. It's not a great team, but I think that's what he needs in order to be able to get an opportunity to shine. Like you can't go to the Warriors where there's no time for anyone else to get the ball. You got to go to a team that has a little bit of, they have holes places so that you can fill one of those holes. And this was that was the perfect team to do it. And now he's showing that he can play. Like you average 12, 13 a game, you're going to get looks from somebody.
I wouldn't mind seeing him in Golden State. That would be fun. I mean, he'd be the 5th option.
It might be more than that.
Knocking down shots. Curry, Butler. I mean, Draymond's not really a top offensive option, but Podziemski's a good player when Kuminga's back healthy. I would like to see him in that situation just to find out what would happen. But I'm with you. He played 37 minutes Wednesday night.
It's great.
You're not getting that.
It's great.
Right, in Golden State. I don't know. I'm just
I just was
your example.
But I just was picking a team that has some big names on it already. That it's hard when someone has a big 2 or a big 3 to go to a team like that. Chicago doesn't have that. There are no problems with a big 2 or a big 3 that need to eat a lot of points. This is like a little bit more of a share. I mean, Giddey's getting an awful lot of points, but
this is a random NBA stat, but I'll throw it out here. So Josh Giddey, who's 22 years old,
I mean,
if you never watched him play, he's a good young player. He had a triple-double Wednesday night, and he is now tied for 2nd in Bulls franchise history in career triple-doubles, tied with Scottie Pippen. Michael Jordan's number 1 on the list. Josh Giddey is going to probably break Michael Jordan's franchise record
as long as he
stays with the Bulls long enough.
Boy,
that's something.
I mean, that's crazy.
I know. It's such a
Pippen
different
didn't
game.
have a lot of triple doubles.
No, but it's such a different game. It was Oscar Robertson had the only triple double average for a season. Now Jokic is going to do it this year. Westbrook did it. Harden did it. Like it just, they're a dime a dozen now.
I mean, forget triple double.
Dime a dozen.
It's really hard to average a triple double, but to get enough to like move up a chart in a franchise that's seemingly great. I mean, they were great because of Michael Jordan, but
you want to pick a winner here?
No.
Justin Rose went
like
7 under. And he was 8 under
round 1
in the first round. He posted a 7 under.
It's pretty good.
Through the first round. He's done. And yikes. I've said I'm rooting for Rory. I don't know that that's going to happen, but that's what I would like to see happen.
Yeah, Rose 7 under, Scheffler 4.
Yeah.
I like when you get some random sprinkles of different names.
Yeah. Yep.
But it doesn't matter until you get to at least Saturday.
That's moving day, baby.
Yeah.
That's what they say.
Yeah.
Moving day at Augusta. All right. Enjoy the weekend, everybody. Enjoy the Masters. I root for one thing every time there is a Masters, and I root for
golf.
There to be
no rain.
Really tight golf down the stretch.
Okay.
I want to sit on my couch on Sunday and just lock into the final round of Masters.